Hi, this is week 23 for music for 7th and 8th grade. And we're going to talk today about something that's happening in the world right now. And that is the Chinese New Year. And so we're going to touch on Chinese music a little bit today. And you may know some people that live in America but have relatives from an Asian country, and they may celebrate this time of year, Chinese New Year. And it's not just a one-day thing. Like when we think of just a regular New Year's Eve and New Year's Day in around the world in many, many, many countries, they think of December 31st turning into January 1st, and that's New Year's Day, when 2020 turns into 21, and that's what we did all over the world in lots and lots of countries. But in China, in many, many Asian countries, not just China, but in Korea, in Vietnam, and Thailand, and lots of Asian countries, even in the Philippines, when there are a lot of Filipino people that have a Chinese ancestry, they take the time to celebrate the Chinese New Year, which is a few weeks long. And I want to teach you about it a little bit today because they have some interesting music, and I want to show that to you. And I also want to show you some interesting instruments that have the origins from Asian countries. They're not, sometimes they look like maybe our instruments that they're voiced to. It might be similar to a violin, might be similar to some type of a drum or something like that, or some type of a different type of instrument that we have. But it's interesting because all over the world, there are different unique instruments made out of different unique things. And people don't have a convention, and they don't compare notes, and they don't talk about their instruments that they have in common. But it almost seems like when you go to a different part of the world and you see different instruments from that area and that region, they're almost like cousins to instruments that we thought of. So different people have thought of the very same ideas of how to perform and how to make instruments, but sometimes they sound a lot different. So I want to show you this. So this is our Chinese New Year slideshow. I want to give that to you today. And a lot of decorations, kind of like Christmas, how we decorate certain things at Christmas time. There are a lot of things that are decorated that are also decorated in for the Chinese New Year. The red is a very important color. Chinese New Year is a festival that celebrates the beginning of the new year on a traditional calendar, Chinese calendar. This year, it starts on Friday, February 12th. So it's already started, but it's not the same date every year. It depends on the lunar calendar, and it depends on full moons. It's observed by Chinese people and communities and non-Chinese people worldwide. It's an annual thing. Sometimes it's called Spring Festival. Sometimes it's called the Lunar New Year. And it lasts 16 days. The preparation starts 7 days before. There's a lot of big cleaning. And also known as the Spring Festival or Lunar New Year, it's the day to praying to gods. The Spring Festival was originally a ceremonial day to pray to the gods for a good planting and harvest season. As an agrarian society, and agrarian means it's an agricultural based, so a lot of the businesses and the income that people have is from growing things. The harvest was everything. People also prayed to their ancestors as they were treated like gods, like if you've seen the movie Mulan. The most fireworks in the world are set off on that night. And you might think that there's a lot of fireworks on the 4th of July. But if you think about it, most of the Asian continent, if a lot of the Asian continent, which is a huge continent, is celebrating the Chinese New Year, other people do it in other parts of the world where there are Chinese, your origins are Chinese, that's a lot of people all shooting off fireworks at the same time. And so it's supposedly scares off monsters and bad luck. So people stay up on Chinese New Year's Eve and they set off firecrackers at midnight. In the morning, they're used again to welcome the new year. This causes the largest human migration in the world. And this is interesting because my husband has a story about that, because my husband's a salesman and he sells little electronic pieces and components that go inside things like stoplights and pacemakers for your heart and snowmobiles and four-wheelers and all kinds of ventilators for COVID patients, all kinds of machines. and products that have little electronic things. Well, they order those electronic things and they get them from China. Then they bring them over here and then they assemble them and put them in all kinds of things. Well, if you are in business where you have your business depends on things from China, they've kind of learned the hard way. They need to look and see when the Chinese holiday starts, because it's 16 days and companies over there and factories and businesses all shut down. It's a big holiday and they give everybody holiday pay, and they can leave town for 16 days. It's not just like you get Christmas Day off. It's 2 weeks. And so it's really important to go visit your ancestors and your relatives, and many of them live up in the tiny villages up in the mountains. And so a lot of people that work and live in the big cities pack up and they go away up into the mountains to visit their elders, and they spend time up there. And so businesses shut down because so many people will be gone, so they just don't even bother to try and work during those 2 weeks. And so if you're an American business person and you need to get some business parts or get some parts or something from China, you need to know that ahead of time. You check on when the date is for the Chinese New Year. You order ahead of time. You make sure if you need things, parts you order them way ahead of time so they're already on a ship on their way over to America or being flown over to America. So you don't get stuck in that lag time of the factory that you're trying to get something from is shut down for 2 weeks because of a holiday, national holiday. So it's interesting. It does affect other parts of the world too, and they just have to kind of plan around it so it doesn't slow their life down. So that's just kind of a little trivia thing. It really does affect Americans too. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure when you go home to these cities or these little villages where your family's giving you grief, like, when are you going to get married and when are you going to settle down and find a nice girl or find a nice boy? So sometimes they hire people, fake boyfriends or girlfriends, to take them home and spend time with them. During this time, there's no showering, sweeping, or throwing out of garbage. There's no hair cutting before February 2nd. Using scissors, knives, or other sharp things are forbidden. There's no arguing and swearing. Saying unlucky words like death and sickness, and you don't want to break anything. There's a lot of superstition. Children receive gifts. Instead of getting Christmas gifts, children receive envelopes, red envelopes that have money in them from their ancestors. And it's kind of they're called red packets or pockets, and they include money. It's supposed to help transfer good luck and fortune from the older people in the families to the younger people. They can also be given, sometimes bosses give them to their employees and coworkers and friends. And even if you live in America and you have relatives over in Asia, they ship and they wire money back and forth. And so they can get money to you and they still give you gifts, even though you live in other countries. All Chinese New Year events have red decorations. They're going to hang up red lanterns and strings of chili peppers and paste red pepper onto doors and windows. New clothes are also believed to bring good luck. And every year there is a different animal that is featured. And there are 12 animals in the zodiac calendar. And this year is the year of the ox. Sometimes you might hear, well, this is the year of the monkey, or this is the year of the dragon. This year, 2012, is the year of the ox. And I want to show you, this is a lot of times, even in America, if you live in an area where there are lots and lots of Asian people, like San Francisco, California, or Seattle, Washington, or Portland, Oregon, New York City, where there's great big neighborhoods of Asian people, they will have parades. For the Chinese New Year. And I want to show you, this is a typical traditional something that you would exhibit that you would see in a parade. This is a dragon dance, kind of like puppets, but lots and lots of people, because it's a big, big fabric dragon, and one person can't carry it around. And so it has to be carried by several people. I'm going to show you little bits of that. And then after that, I want to show you, there's no homework this week. I just want you to get familiar with Chinese culture and Chinese music. Then I'm going to show you a video that shows you different types of instruments that are common in China.
some of them are made out of red two-string, known as the Chinese. But rather through woodwind and brass, we split our instruments through the different types of materials that they're made out of. The erhu is a two-string bowed musical instrument. It's sometimes known as the Chinese violin or a Chinese two-stringed fiddle. The er and erhu means two, while the hu and erhu means instrument, making it a two-string instrument. They're generally made out of different types of wood, so you guys can tell from the pictures that some of them are made out of maple, some of them are made out of redwood. The bow is made with Mongolian horsetail hair, and it sits between the two strings on the erhu. Now, let's take a listen to our very own Miss Spring Yang. She graduated from the Sichuan Music Conservatory majoring in erhu performance. Wasn't that so cool, guys? Now, enjoy a few excerpts from Mr. Huangrong. Ang in Yanqi means foreign, and the qin in Yanqi means ancient plucked zither. It is played by hitting strings with bamboo mallets about the length and size of a chopstick. Unlike other Chinese instruments, the yanqi is a chromatic instrument ranging about 5 octaves. The modern yanqi is known to having 144 strings. Director, Jilin Province Musician Association, and the Chinese Pipa Research Association. Now, let's enjoy a few excerpts from her and her students.
So that's just kind of an interesting observation. Is sometimes like the last instrument was like a peepaw, something, I don't remember what it was called, but it almost looked like a banjo or like a guitar. But it's both made out of wood, and they had sometimes a bow with it. Interesting ways of coming up with different types of instruments that we're not used to. They have different sounds, and I'm sure there's some unique characteristics to Asian music that I'm not even familiar with. But keep that in mind. You might be hearing some things about Chinese New Year this time of year. There might be some Chinese restaurants that have special banquets or special buffets and more events going on. And just enjoy just a taste of music from the other side of the world, from the Chinese New Year. Have a great day. Bye.